children! Snappy has lots of Bible story books, but his favourite book is his pop-up book. I suppose it's because it's so bright and colourful and tells the story really well. You see, Snappy does love looking at pictures. Now, in some Bible stories, we see that people do bad things, and we know we do bad things. But God always wants to bring his people back to him, to rescue them. Now, at times in history, God has sent prophets. These are men and women who are chosen by God to warn people and to bring them back to God. Today we find out about the prophet Isaiah. Now, God used Isaiah powerfully, so let's find out a little more about him. When we read the Bible, you might be a little bit like Snappy and want to see lots of pictures. But of course there are many pictures in the Bible. So shall we go to the book of Isaiah and see some of the pictures there? Isaiah lived over 700 years before Jesus was born. And although the Bible doesn't tell us much about Isaiah, tradition has it that he was born into the royal family. So we can imagine that he may have played with the royal children, in the royal courts, in the palace at Jerusalem. It was in the year that King Uzziah died that Isaiah had a wonderful vision from God. You see, God was going to use Isaiah to send a message to his people. Isaiah's vision was of God on his throne, with winged creatures surrounding him, creatures with 6 wings calling to each other, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of heaven's armies. His glory fills the whole earth." Now, Isaiah prophesied to many great and powerful people. You see, these were difficult days when the nation of God's people was surrounded by large, hostile nations, people who would want to go to war with God's people. He would speak of God's judgment if they didn't turn to God again. For in the writings of Isaiah, we see pictures not only of the times of Isaiah, but a time when a Saviour is sent by God, a Saviour to rescue his people. He will send Jesus. Isaiah writes, "A child will be born to us. God will give a son to us. He will be responsible for leading the people. His name will be Wonderful Counselor, Powerful God, Father who lives forever, Prince of Peace." When we see John the Baptist, who comes out of the desert and is baptizing people in the Jordan River, telling them to turn away from the bad things they do, we can hear the words of Isaiah. "There is a voice of a man who calls out in the desert, 'Prepare the way for the Lord and make the road straight for him.'" So here's Jesus in the synagogue at Nazareth, and he's reading from the scroll of Isaiah. He reads, "The Spirit of the Lord is in me, to tell the good news to the poor, to set people free from sin. The blind will see." And when he finished reading, he said, "Today these words are coming true." Isaiah wrote, "But he took our suffering on him and felt our pain for us. We saw his suffering. We thought God was punishing him, but he was wounded for the wrong things we did. He was crushed for the evil things we did." So, Snappy, isn't it wonderful that so many of those pictures that Isaiah gave us are all about Jesus? And it's wonderful because we can read them today. So let's say goodbye to our Bible people, and we'll see them again next time.